here we go. Game number 1, Ogres versus Braydob. Braydob, of course, has been playing a lot in tournaments lately. Doing pretty well as well. Like Braydob, he's become a serious player lately. I think he said that basically he got good internet. He was like, "Yep, I was playing on terrible internet for ages. I finally got fiber, and now I'm ready to unleash my true potential."
Awesome. Okay. Well, you love to see that kind of thing, you know? Like, it's always neat to see new players come into the fold, and that always keeps the tournament scene exciting, right?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, let's take a look at these decks. So, you know, normally I would be hyped to see Scarabs, but on a map like Orbit, I just don't see that being a really, really good choice. I mean, they're going to be spread out, and I don't know that there's really a good spot for them. Where would you put Scarabs on this map?
I mean, Scarabs are Scarabs, right? You just put them on a pad and you hope they're good there.
True. Yeah.
I can agree with you a little bit that because it's spread out, it could be difficult to support them. So it's gonna. Like, now, to be fair, Scarabs do reasonably well on their own. They don't really need support because that's what they do, right? You just park a Scarab and it goes to town. Oh, there goes the Harvester. Braydob, well known for his absolute obsession with Harvester kills. Braydob is very Harvester hungry. But yeah, this, like, a spread out map, the problem is going to be that if you park Scarabs somewhere and you don't support them well, which you can't really because it's a spread out map, you can't afford to have PopCap helping out your Scarabs. So what's going to happen is Ogres is going to be like, hey, I've got like one bike. I know there's Scarabs at top, so I'll just send my bike top. And then Braydob's not going to have a spare unit to go and kill that bike before it pops a Scarab. So it's possible the Scarabs will be slowly ticked down by low value units.
So really smart play here by Ogres there to switch the buggy and the bikes over because it gave 2 targets for the Scorpion tank, which made it a little bit harder for it to take that pad. And it allowed him to block it reasonably well. So really great play by Ogres there to take that first missile.
I think a large part of that as well, though, was Braydob had Laser and Scarab at the top pad. So he had 2 PopCap invested on this pad that was not relevant. Well, it was relevant, but like, Ogres had all of his units at the bottom and Braydob had 2 AFK top, basically.
Yeah, and here we are. So another set of Scarabs coming out, and like you said, they are going to be, they will do a great job at holding pads, and even though he may not be able to support it, depends on Ogres here taking advantage of the disadvantages here. And, you know, based on that first game where he played against Scarabs, it looks like he knows what he's doing. And Braydob, even though he's got, Giga Chat, even though he's got that Harvest skill under his belt, it doesn't seem like he's getting a lot of value from it. So here we go. Ogre's going to make a push here. He takes out 1 Scarab and moves the Scarab off the pad. But wait a minute, he clears the bikes on that top. Really, actually pretty decent value there. But hold on a minute, the Scarab goes down as well, getting 0 value. And Braydob making a push here. He pushes into that. Oh my god, pushes him off the pad completely. And wow, Braydob dominantly takes that second missile. What a comeback.
Yeah, and Braydob has actually, like, knocked out Ogres' economy entirely. Ogres has 30 tib. If he loses this Giga, he has nothing going on anymore. Scarab's actually being pretty decent there. Like, they're holding 2 pads. It's really hard for Ogres to push into them. He does have the 2-range Giga, but it takes a while for a Giga to kill Scarabs. I mean, not that long. Obviously, Scarabs don't have any hit points, but, you know, it's not like snipers where you just pop them. Like, you need to charge up a little bit on, get that beam going.
Right. Well, so he's boosted this Giga. It looks like he's going to make a push up, and of course, it doesn't get fully charged, and it doesn't look like he's going to gain much value to that 30 tib. And look at Braydob's economy. I mean, he's got 260 tib under his belt. You know, he could actually even build a Phantom just to steal a pad at the last minute if he really wanted to. And these Gigas, I don't know if they're going to be enough here, but look at that. He's going to clear that Flame Trooper just in time, and look at that. Okay, Phantom coming in, and actually, it's going to hold the pad against the lasers for a little bit, but he has nothing to clear them. And I don't know if this is really going to work out too well.
Top pad, Braydob notices, but his tank is half dead by the time he notices.
Oh,
and the bikes are coming in. The tank took so much damage from the Giga, the bikes might kill it. I think they're going to.
The Giga's going to get it off, and look, he's going to push forward. I think that's going to be enough to hold the pads up top, and he's going to clear the Flamers eventually. That low HP Giga, though, won't be able to hold against the Scorpion tank, but the Stealth tank clears the far left pad, and now he's got all 3 pads under his belt, and, oh, wait a minute, no! The Scorpion tank cleared the Giga up top!
Oh my
Those bikes, so I think 1 volley might be enough. Will it be enough to clear and get on? But hold on a minute! Oh, it's so close! It might be a flip, and... Oh, there it is!
He does it! The Stealth tank takes out the Scorpion just!
Oh, what a game! Holy cow!
Oh my god. So close.
A game of centimeters, I gotta say. Wow, yeah. So close. Like, it went back and forth so many times there at the end, and you know, 1 wrong unit and Ogres was completely done. But gosh, wow, both these players really fantastic, and what a game of Rivals that was.
Wow, that was really something.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, there you have it. I gotta say, that game right there was a phenomenal example of why you do not bring Giga Cannon to orbit.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
There was a point in that game where Ogres moved 2 Giga Cannons onto the bottom right pad, and Braydov killed them both with 1 Scorpion.
Yeah, true enough, right? Like,
and like, I know he won. I know he won, chat. I'm aware. But the Giga Cannons just did not look good.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
the Scorpions were so good on that map, and the Giga Cannons looked so underwhelming. And even having watched that game, I still don't understand how Ogres won, because Braydov like farmed his Harvester multiple times, farmed his Gigas multiple times when they moved out of position. In fact, I think he won purely because there was that moment where Braydov didn't see the Giga on his Scorpion at the top until the Scorpion was half dead, which meant that the bikes were able to come in and 1v1 the Scorpion, like and the Giga moved on to that pad, and that basically was where Braydov lost. If that Scorpion had been full hit points because he'd moved it back sooner, and the Giga had to move up and the Scorpion could have rammed into it, then I think Braydov might have been the victor there instead, because he would have held that top pad.
Gosh.
So yeah, that was.
Oh man.
Really, really crazy game there. But yeah, really man, these games have been great. Like this format has been way better than I expected it to be. Like it's been really interesting. These no 10. Maybe this is what Rivals should be. You know, maybe we should all just agree to. Maybe we should make all 10 cost units cost 100. Put them in the dumpster. We'll all start playing no 10 cost.
No kidding. Or even just like up them to 20 costs. You know, like just don't make them 10 cost units anymore. But. Wow. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this so far. And yeah, like for anybody out there watching or playing, like tell us what you think. I mean, we'd love to hear from a viewer point of view as also the player point of view, just in terms of how the game looks and feels. For us, I mean, personally, this, like you say, this has been really exciting. Like it's been a legitimate change to the game, and it's really highlighting a lot of the core mechanics in the game at the same time. Like it's not, you know, a huge deviation from the actual game itself. It's just enough of a change that it you know, forces units into different roles, and it you know, highlights different units in different ways, and deck composition and maps play out a bit differently, and yeah, it's just been awesome.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying this. All right, I think we're ready for game number 2. That was a really interesting one, so I'm really excited to see how this goes. So now we're on to Open Prairie. This is a much better 2-range map. I think Giga is a lot more reasonable here. It's not amazing. Actually, no, it is good. It is good because the rock doesn't block you from hitting the bottom pad. If you're in the space between the 2 pads, the rock doesn't stop the Giga from shooting down onto the pad.
Now, so I gotta say, Giga Chad not playing Giga, like what's up with that?
Yeah, I know, right? Sin1 is saying Braydov lost because he did not move the Phantom to the bottom left pad. I thought he did, and it got killed by that stealth tank. Isn't that what happened? I thought he did send it to the bottom left, but the stealth tank came in, killed it, reloaded, and went and killed the Scorpion.
I believe so. I think you're right. Yeah, that's what I recall as well. He did move it to the bottom right. No, did he move it to the bottom left? I think it died on the bottom right.
I'm pretty sure he did. He moved it to the bottom right, and then once he took control of the bottom right with something else, he moved the Phantom across. I'm pretty sure. Not 100% though. Not 100% on that.
Well, Oga's here in familiar territory. This is the map he played Scarabs on, I believe. And, you know, this is where he made that amazing flip happen. So I wonder if he's going to be able to pull that off again, as we see here setting up double flamers, which, you know, not a bad idea. He's going to be able to stall the missile a little bit here. But here we go. So we've got Scarabs coming in both places. And you know what? GigaChan playing them the same ways as the other player was. Where
single
he put him on the
flamer going and eating a Scarab hit. Very nice play there.
Oh, yeah, very good. Can he make the flip happen?
He's going to try and do it again.
Oh, he does it again! What a master!
He does it again, chat!
Oh, the emote! Oh, you love that.
Braydov with the shock. Braydov clearly didn't see the tournament earlier when that happened. Probably too busy playing his match. But oh my god, Ogres makes it happen again. And Scarabs. Scarabs have looked so bad this tournament.
They have, and you know, you'd expect that this would be the place where Scarabs would actually be good, and maybe they could be, but yeah, the truth is, if you're good enough and you know how to play against them, they just don't do anything.
Yeah, well, yes, I agree generally with what you're saying. I do think that, I think people are getting their Scarabs out too early. Like, people are going laser Scarab, and they're just desperately trying to set up Scarabs. When what they should be doing is playing the game normally, and then when they get ahead, get a Scarab set up. Because then it's so hard to break. Like, instead of making your game plan Scarabs, play the game normally, and then Scarab when you have an advantage.
Right. Well, and we see, Shade coming out, which should do a good job, but Stealth Tank came out in time, so Brado held it on the top pad, which, I'm surprised he didn't move it down to the bottom left to hold that pad. Allowed him to get enough time to get the Stealth Tank out, and hold on, might get a trade, but no! Oh, so close there, but the Stealth Tank managed to take more volleys against the Shade, and wait a minute, the Flames are going to eat up those Flame Troopers from Brado, and I believe he's going to win that top pad. That Scarab really can't do a whole lot. The Gig Cannon's going to get one shot up, and there it goes. Pulls the Harvester as well, just to secure the bottom left, and there it is. Ogas takes the game.
Absolutely dominant game there. Scores there is inaccurate.
Okay, here on Scorpion Tail, first time we're seeing this on stream, and this is a pretty interesting map overall. It does make two range units very good, but we don't see any of those here, and in fact, not even a single one, so that's interesting. But we do see some pretty interesting choices from both players here. Bia using Banshee, which, is just going to get shut down by the bikes and eventually Stealth Tank, but it also loses to lasers. It's exactly like you talked about before, where Banshee just doesn't really do its second role well enough to be a great unit. And Scorpion Tank, I really like to see that here. I think Scorpion Tank's going to be awesome. He's got the Flamers to deal with the Flames, and he's also got Buggy as well. So I like Bia's deck a little bit more because of Scorpion Tank, not because of Banshee. Having said that, though, maybe Janka pulls out something from his hat with that Stealth Tank.
I think the Shade is a really big deal. The Shade is really important in this matchup against BR. The reason that BR has Banshee is because it's BR. So he plays two decks, and normally his deck has Militant and Wheel, and those are banned, so he's replaced them with Flamer and Buggy. Like, that's it. Like, he's just playing the one deck he plays, but he's replaced the two units he can't play anymore. So that's why he has a Banshee, I think.
Okay, so boosted Flames here on that bottom pad, and gets the Buggy out of position. The Scorpion Tank moves over. He's going to be able to take care of those lasers, and I think Bia's got this missile. It depends on what Janka builds here, but I don't think he's going to get anything there in time. And, yep, there it is. Bia takes the first missile.
Yeah, not super surprising to see this. Janka's deck is phenomenally bad against tank first missile. Like, a Scorpion and a Flamer, there's no way Janka could win first missile. He really relies heavily on this Shade. The issue here is that he needs to make Shade, and he needs to make Flamer. And he is making Buggy to counter the Flamer, but Buggy doesn't do anything against Scorpion.
Right.
So he needs to be, now that he's removed the first Flame, he traded the Buggy for the Flamer, it's pretty good for him. He's now going his own Flamers. But he needs the Shade, and losing the Shade was too big a cost, and he got way too aggressive with that Shade. Like, he flew it over the laser for 20 minutes to try and kill that Scorpion. And he finally got there. But it doesn't matter because they're the same cost. So killing the Scorpion but losing the Shade is not making progress.
Well, speaking of progress, Bia's got this first missile, but he's going to move, Janka's going to move that Flamers up top. Of course, the Buggy will clear them in time. It's not going to be quick, though. He does get a boost on it. Now Janka with both pads going to get the block in time. Oh, unfortunate there. Lost his unit on the bottom pad. Just wasn't able to hold on in time, and Bia gets his opening, and there he goes. Gets onto the pad, and I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, and when he lost that Shade, he was dead, basically. That's what it came down to.
It did seem that way, yeah.
Like, that Shade is the most important unit in his deck in that matchup. He made one Shade for the entire game, and it killed one Scorpion and died, and I think he boosted it as well. So it was a negative, it was a massively negative trade, because 150 for the first Shade. Sorry, 120. Plus the boost is 150 to kill a 70 cost unit that had already killed stuff. So,
yeah, exactly.
Like, it was super over at that point. Like, the only way he could win this matchup is to get the Shade and repeatedly drive value out of it. Like, he needs to be killing every single Buggy that comes out. He needs to be winning with Flamers on the ground and using Shade to shut down enemy Buggies. And he needs to just win the Flamer mirror by having more Flamers. But that's really hard to do when you start off behind, because you then have to switch into third building to get your Shade out. Like, if you're ahead and you can get a Shade and Flame, if you're winning the Flamer mirror and then you can get a Shade to counter Buggy, great. But how do you achieve that when you have your War Factory as well? I actually think what Janka needs to do in that matchup, and who knows if we're gonna see a similar matchup next game, but what you need to do in that matchup, and this is very counterintuitive, is you need to open Laser or Flame, and you need to spam infantry to win the infantry war. Like, you need to win the Flamer war. That's super important. And then when Buggy comes out, you have to Shade and you need to not War Factory, basically. Like, in War Factory needs to be the third building you open. Because you have to get a Shade as quickly as possible to win that matchup. You cannot afford to be going into third building for Shade. It has to be second building. Now, I don't remember how BR opened. I don't know if I can't remember if he opened Laser or Buggy. If BR opens Buggy and you open Laser and then have to go Shade, that's not you're basically just conceding first missile whilst you wait for your Shade. Which is a really bad spot to be in as well. Because you go Laser, they go Buggy, and you're just like, okay, I'm just waiting for 120 tib. The missile will fire before you get the 120 tib, pretty much.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
then BR gets also have free reign to do whatever he wants during that time. So, it's not great. It's not a great scenario. But because you can't win the early game against the tank, you have to get Shade, and then you need to be ahead for the Shade to be good, because otherwise your opponent just does what BR does, which is hide his tank behind a Laser, which you can't break because you can't make Flamer. Because if you make Flamer, you're behind on the Flamers as well, because you're just behind on board. So it's mad orcs. Like, you need, basically what you need to be doing as Janka there is opening like Laser Drone or Venom and then making a Shade. Like, you need to be opening your air tower first building, because that's the thing that actually beats BR, is your air tower. But that's crazy, right? That's like, against anyone but BR, you couldn't do that. But against BR, you know he's opening, you know he's playing he's playing the same deck pretty much, because he always plays the same deck. So maybe you could open Venom against him. And then if he opens War Factory, you just run away from it until you have a Shade. And if he opens Barracks, then it's fine, because Venom is good versus the Barracks. So, like, if you see a Bike or a Buggy, you run away until you have a Shade. If you see a Laser, you just go, cool, I have a Venom, I win this matchup.
That's, yeah, no, you make a good point there. Like, this might be the opportunity for Air Tower Opener to be a thing, but in most circumstances, that's something you just won't do. But, yeah, that's really interesting to say, because in normal circumstances, like I said, that's just not something you would do. But here in this format, maybe
you could do it. And this is like going very deep as well. This is like very deep Yomi at this point, because you're going, I know I'm against PR, I know he's gonna have the same deck, so I'm gonna open Venom specifically because it's him, and I think he's opening. Like, I think that the Shade will be so good against him. And then obviously the problem, if he plays GDI, then he's got Hammerhead, so that plan doesn't work anymore. Like, you can't do that against his GDI. But if he plays GDI, you have to open something different. But if he's playing GDI, Janka didn't have a Scorpion either, so if he's playing GDI, you lose to the Pitbull. So, kind of just feels like what Janka was playing did not line up well against BR.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, let's get game 2 underway.
Let's do it.
Janka versus BR, game number 2. Janka switched to GDI, BR still playing. I imagine BR will play exactly the same deck as BR.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Interesting to see what Janka brings. Wow, triple GDI air. I don't actually hate it. Normally I hate triple GDI air, but against Nod, like, I mean, air is good versus Nod. Like, it's good to play lots of air units versus Nod. Orca is really good versus Nod. Drone Swarm is really good versus Nod. I don't know why he's got a Talon in his deck. That makes no sense to me. Like, normally in a triple GDI air deck, that unit would be a Razorback. I don't understand why it's a Talon.
Disappointed.
But I do actually think that Orca and Drone Swarm could be really good versus BR. I think I actually quite like Janka's deck here.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think Drone Swarm and Orca are going to make a big difference. I mean, as for the Talon, you know, possibly that could have been a Hammerhead. I don't think that would have made much of a difference, because Banshee's not that big of a deal regardless, especially with Pitbull. But, well, you know, Janka doing a pretty good job here. Buggy gets pushed up, and he moves off the pad with the missile. He's going to move him back. There we go. He's going to stall the missile once again. Can he deal with these Flamers? He gets the shocks in place, boost them, and now he's got to block with the missiles. Really good micro there from Janka. Great. It looks like he's going to secure that first missile, and wow, well done to Janka.
Look at BR's money, right? He's just made a Flamer, and he's at 0 at the end of that missile. Because I was watching that, and I was thinking, oh, BR's going to win this, because Janka went second shock, and BR had a Buggy starting to chip away at the first shock. So I was like, oh, BR's going to be ahead here, because he's going to have the Flamer and the Buggy, and he's going to kill the shock, like, he's going to do a lot of damage to the first shock for free. And then there's a missile that doesn't even beat the Buggy. But then BR had no money. Like, he was just completely broke, because everything's so expensive. So whilst it felt like he should have come out ahead there, Janka had way more money, because he was on one building. And this is what I was talking about earlier. When you open these 30 costs, going second building is really hard. And BR spent all his money trying to open a barracks, which didn't work out. So he actually was just completely broke. And Janka on one building was able to defeat him first missile. So really interesting to see that.
Well, now that Janka's broke, he gets a Drone Swarm on there, but of course Buggy shooting up is going to be a big deal, especially against the low HP Drone Swarm. There they go down very, very quickly. And, well, BR is now going to secure this second missile for him. There we go.
I don't know why Janka went Drone Swarm, and I really don't know why Janka went Pitbull. Like, he had this great lead by winning the first missile on like one building, and then he wants to just play Orcas, and instead he's built Pitbulls. Like, why? Just go Barracks Air Tower and play Orcas. Orca is so good in this matchup. Like, Orca and Drone Swarm are your best units. Why even make a Pitbull? You know BR's gonna have a tank as well, and you know he has his War Factory open. So, like, you spent 80 to make a unit that gets killed by his 70 cost. It's just... That was a huge misplay from Janka. Like, going War Factory was really bad.
The far right. Like, the far right would have been a much better place where this tank was holding, but again, it really didn't matter too much. You know, he would have thrown bikes onto that, moved the tank over, and it would have been the same story. But, yeah, like, here we see the Orca coming out, which is great. Banshee really not doing a whole lot, even though that Janka's game plan here should be to go with air. The Banshee just, you know, is again, so underwhelming here. Yeah. These drone swarms are starting to do a little bit of work here, and we got double Banshee on that Orca. It goes down, and that's not great. We are getting a little bit more value here. But Janka so far holding the pads. As Pitbull's holding against the tank, he gets the boosted missiles in place here. He's got all three, and those drone storms should hold. He almost moves the Pitbull off the pad, but doesn't. And there we go. Janka coming back, winning a game, getting the series up to that third game. Well played, Janka.
Janka, wow, very nice, Janka. Now I don't know about you, but I feel like the air units were really good there.
They were, right?
Janka's air units, to be clear, not the Banshees. They were horrible.
they were, yeah, right. Like the Banshee in that scenario should have been good, but
yeah,
it just
that's
wasn't,
exactly,
so.
yeah, it's exactly it. That's where Banshee should be decent, because it's like it kills the drone storm and the Orca, and it's 30 cost, but it just it's not good. It's just not a good unit. And honestly, that one Orca was so good for Janka. Like, if he just made Orcas earlier and not gone Pitbull, like, I really didn't like the Pitbull. I think the Pitbull was a mistake.
Well, yeah, like the Orca with doing 2,000 damage, and that's kind of where it actually might be better than Shade in this scenario. The fact that it can clear units a lot more efficiently, it really pushed Bial back quite a bit. Like, he had Bikes, Buggy, and Scorpion Tank at the time, right? And once the Orca came out, it shuts down all of that. And so what does Bial do? I mean, he didn't have a lot of money either to begin with, so...
Yeah, and... Janka, man, pulling it out. Let's go, Janka. And I mean, the drone swarm, man. The drone swarm was so good. I agree with you that the second missile, when he drone swarmed and randomly sent it into 2 buggies, was pretty horrible. And he did it like twice. He like suicided 40 tip basically into these buggies, and it had no impact on the game whatsoever. Yeah. If he'd gone top right, where there was not an anti-air unit, that would have been a lot better. But I don't know if he had time to get the drone swarm up there.
I think it played out the same way.
What he wanted there was an Orca. And he spent all his money on a Pitbull that died to a tank, so...
Right.
I just don't know why he went Pitbull, man. I don't understand why he went Pitbull. It's very confusing. Alonso keeps mentioning that laser drones and drone swarm both have free vision, which is like the only unit in the game that has free vision that isn't banned. Right. And that is a big impact. Like, I think when you're watching as a spectator, it's really easy to forget, but the players can't see the whole map. They don't know what is where. A lot of the time, they don't know what the back pad is, like, unless they remember it, or they like, and then it can be swapped. They don't necessarily know what it is there. This is a big part of Rivals, is remembering what units your opponent has and where. Like, when you see like a Scorpion tank go into Fog of War, and then you don't know where it is, like, but you can figure it out, right? Because you can identify where would a Scorpion tank be likely to be. If there's something on the back pad and you don't see a Scorpion tank, that's probably what's on the back pad. So you can know you can send a drone swarm there safely, or an Orca or something. And not having free vision units is actually a big deal. And it's so hard to see the impact of that whilst spectating. But if you're playing this tournament, the lack of free vision is probably a really big deal, because not seeing units that are on their way as well. By the time you see a unit, it's almost on top of you. So it actually is a really big difference. It matters a lot.
I have to agree. Yeah, like, information is power at the end of the day, and especially on maps that are very spread out. I mean, the Rivals, you're making hundreds of decisions every single game, and it's so easy to forget one of those decisions, you know, or to, like, you might see a unit going onto a pad, but then there's so many other things going on that it's very easy to take advantage of that situation. So that is one really interesting thing that we're seeing here is, like you said, like, the laser drones and drone swarm are really the only 3-tile vision units that are available. It could have been Rhino and Buggy, of course those got changed, but it makes it very interesting for sure. Yeah,
and drone swarm, of course, is actually still a really good unit as well. Yeah, like, I think laser drone kind of sucks. So Like, I don't think I want to play Laser Drone for free vision, but Drone Swarm is a great unit and has free vision, so I can definitely see Drone Swarm as being really good. All right, so we are ready for this final game, the decider, Janka versus BR. We've got GDI from Janka against Nod from BR again.
Interesting. And here on Broken Mesa as well. Well, okay, so Janka going to play the same thing in BR as well, and I'm really surprised to see that. Well, not from BR's side, of course, BR, you know, but yeah, Janka doing the same thing, and that's a smart play by him, I think, because he's going to take advantage of the same situations in the last game.
I actually am surprised to see BR play the same deck, because I thought he'd switch to his GDI here.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right, maybe, like, he doesn't normally play Nod.
Maybe he's really... Well, I mean, he plays... I feel like he plays both... Oh, yeah, Janka going straight into air. I like this a lot. But BR, obviously, like, he plays his GDI and his Nod in equal measure, I would say. But because he lost to this triple GDI air, I would have expected him to switch to the Hammerhead and Pitbull.
Right.
Maybe he just doesn't like his Nod without his GDI without a 10 cost unit. Like, maybe he's more confident switching to Buggy, because Buggy's a good unit, than he is switching to Rhino or whatever he's doing on GDI.
Okay, well, BR so far looks like he's going to get all 3 pads here. Of course, without Janka able to push up, and yeah, those shock troopers just couldn't make it in time. And, you know, kind of unfortunate there, the drone missile combination just really wasn't great against the fast moving attack bikes with the flames and their higher HP. I really feel like, yeah, he needs an Orca in that first missile to overcome the bikes, and then the drone swarms are going to get value against the flames. So a little bit unfortunate. I'm not sure if really going to Orca would have made a lot of sense. It's hard to say. What do you think?
I think that you have to Orca, really. And I actually just think you can't win first missile. Like, I've played a lot of Suzaku APC, which is the same sort of thing where you go rifle missile instead of missile shock, but you go rifle missile drone Orca against Nod first missile, and you almost always lose to Flamer bike. Like, it's almost impossible to win that matchup because you can only make 1 Orca, and they can make like 4 bike squadrons. So you can kill like 1 bike, and then you lose your Orca unless you're careful. And if you're careful, that means it doesn't go forwards, and then it doesn't win the missile. So what normally happens is you just try and preserve your Orca and get value out of it on the first missile, but you always lose it. Like, you always lose the first missile. You're just trying to not lose the Orca as well.
So here we go. Can Janka pull it off? He's down 1 missile, and this could be game. And actually for the match, however, Banshee coming in, it's going to be able to do a good job against these drones finally. With the booster, might get a few shots off here. And with all 3.
Look how slow that Talon is. Oh, it should have been a drone swarm.
That was close. Well, the Talon has... Oh, wait, actually, I think Drone Swarm and Talon are the same movement speed now, aren't they?
The Red Alert Turkey mirror match. Here we go. Zweisen on the left playing again a Jackson mirror here.
2, 1.
Yeah, and here we are on 3 lanes. You don't get to see this map too often, but I always find it quite interesting. Again, no 2-range units except for sniper. Oh no, sorry, there are snipers on both sides.
Yeah, sniper.
But we got Borka from Ogas. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, these decks are 5-card mirror, and then the air tower is the only way it places a difference.
Right, yeah, you're right.
Interestingly enough, the guy with the Borka doesn't have the Hammerhead, which is super weird. He has Borka Talon, so the Talon is going to get shut down by Hammerhead, and so is the Borka. I actually just think that it's not relevant, though. I think this matchup is going to be almost entirely come down to the sniper mirror.
Yeah, like, it's going to come down to who uses their boost more efficiently. Like, here we see the sniper winning the matchup there, but the sniper's going to clear the missiles, and we got that single sniper taking up Cop Cap, and we all know that a single sniper on a squad is just totally useless. Although with the 4 here, maybe he's going to win against the 3. I don't think he's going to be able to push, though.
I was going to say, I agree that usually it's completely useless, but specifically because this is a sniper mirror, the extra sniper model in a sniper mirror could be really relevant.
So here we see the first X switch from Ogas into Air Tower, which Talon, you know, you're right. Once he gets Hammerhead going, he's not going to do a whole lot. Or Pitbull, actually. Once the Pitbull gets going, and that's what's going to happen, right?
I don't like Ogas' choice to go Talon there, because Zweisen spent 30 on a boost to win the sniper mirror, but a sniper is 50, so he basically could have bought a whole new sniper squad for that boost. But he can't push in to a defending sniper without using the boost. So he has to use the boost to take the middle, at which point Ogres could just spend he now has 30 extra tip effectively on another sniper squad. So he could just over spam snipers to win. Instead, he changed tech, costing a lot of money, then changed tech again to War Factory, costing even more, and ended up with just nothing on the field and lost the missile because of it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think, again, it was map position, you know. The snipers, that's what they do really well, is they give you more map positioning, and the Talon just didn't do that, you know. And again, like, in a normal game of Rivals where you have 10 cost units, that might be okay, because your economy is going to be a little bit better. But in this case, it costs you big time. You know, like you said, going into that second building, it was 80 tip for that first Talon.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was immediately countered by a 70 Siberian Pitbull. So
yeah,
the economy advantage he gained by Zeisen being forced to use a boost was lost by him going for the Talon. And there's two ways. I mean, there's two ways to push in a sniper mirror. One of them is to boost. The other one is just to have two sniper squads. And Ogres had a sniper on the right. He could just made another sniper and push them both in together. And I think that would have been better.
Well, another thing that Ogres could do is a totally classic move is to just use tanks against the snipers, right? Like he could just spam tanks and use snipers as backup, and that would probably push him up. And look at this, Ogres making a comeback here. All right, winning the second missile. Well played. You know, again, the Predator tanks did a pretty good job here, and Zeisman just did not have an answer ready to go. Yeah,
and this is a really interesting matchup here because you can't play sniper with missile wall because an enemy sniper can sit 2 tiles away and pick off the wall. And your snipers can't do anything about it. So, even though I didn't like the Talon first missile, the Talon has been fantastic in this matchup because it is a way to stand and stop missiles walking forwards, but isn't impacted by snipers.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Like, I don't think he's ever going to get to Hammerhead because you know what's going to happen here? That Harvester is going to finish up on that tip field, and it's going to move a long distance to get those second tip fields, which is going to be a huge economy change for Zeiswin. And I just don't see him getting there. He's going to be spending his money on stuff like, well, Predators and Snipers, which are pretty expensive. So I got to agree with you. Talon is actually going to work out really well here. Having that low-cost anti-air, anti-infantry option is really playing to his advantage.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, a single Hammerhead would be amazing for Zweisen, but he just can never afford it because in this economy, with no 10 cost unit to make your things cheaper, you just don't have enough money.
That's right.
But here we coming down to third missile, and Zweisen, I think he's got too much beef on this pad. I don't know if Ogres can get through. Oh, Predator just makes short work of everything. Oh my goodness. I spoke too soon. Predator does so much damage.
Oh, but he gets on there just for a split second with that boost. Sniper's on the middle pad, though. He's going to flip it back, and
wow. What have you done?
Oh, holy cow. Wow. What? They handed that missile back and forth right at the end there. No. And, well, in the end, Zeiswin takes it.
So much throw. So much throw in that game, man. Like, what?
The mirror match, you know, it's tough. And Talon made a huge splash, but... yeah, well, the misplays with the blocking at the end, right? The missile's getting onto that middle pad, and the sniper's taking the bottom right, and wow,
it was such a weird game, man. Like, he had the Predator and the 2 Pitbulls, and it looked like that was just going to be enough hit points to hold out. And then boosted Predator and 2 missile squads just crushed it. Like, all 3 of those units were gone in like 4 seconds. It was ridiculous how fast they died. Except actually not all 3 of them were gone, because 1 Pitbull drove away towards his opponent's base, away from the Predator tank, and then snuck onto the bottom right pad. And Ogres just didn't respond to it. He had both his missile troopers, neither of them went to follow it, and his Predator was too slow to get there. And then Zweisen just walked onto the middle pad because both the missiles were like teetering back and forth, not sure what to do.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that felt like a massive throw from Ogres, I gotta say. Like, he pushed onto the middle very successfully, and then just fell apart, and Zweisen just went, well, I'll just get back on the pad.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that's the thing about Rivals, that, you know, you can make all the right plays, and the only time that you really, you know, win the game dominantly is when you snowball so heavily throughout the mid-game. But at the end of the game, when a game's that tight, yeah, it's like a small misplay, you're just gonna lose, even though you've been playing pretty well up to that point, so... yeah, poor Ogres there. That was a bit of a, you know, weak game for him. But, well, hey, this is a best of 5 now. There's plenty of opportunity for him to come back, and I totally suspect that's going to be the case, but we'll see.
Alright, so... just waiting on the players to join.
I gotta say, it's been really smooth sailing this tournament. I mean, the players have been joining quickly. All the games have been set up very quickly. Like, wow, this has been like a really, really well run tournament so far.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, I love that rank from Zeiss one, 666. Oh man. And these players must have played against each other quite a bit too, right? I mean, I guess you'd assume that, them being in the same alliance, but wow, like I don't know what you do in this case. Like Frozen Road, I mean, we're still not seeing a lot of like MLRS and Giga, which we did see in the beginning, but so far not so much now. It's been actually quite a lot of GDI. Well, not two, but a lot of GDI, more than I was expecting. And here on Frozen Road, I mean, what kind of a deck would you pick in a, you know, in a no 10 cost format like this?
I really like MLRS on Frozen Road. But I don't know, it's hard to... I tell you what, we haven't seen a single Inferno yet, which is kind of nuts.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe people just don't think they can afford it. Like, it's been so hard for... I mean, in that last game, Zweisen just couldn't build his air tower at all. Like, he literally just never built it. He was broke the whole game because he was making so many snipers. I don't know. I feel like snipers have been really good so far.
They've been amazing, yeah.
I think I'd probably stick with snipers. It feels weird to play snipers without the pitbull, without dogs to block, but they've been performing very well in this format.
This is harkening back to old school rivals for me, like back when tank meta was a thing. You know, flames and shocks being so good, snipers that are that one tool that's still in their arsenal that can counter that, and that opens up other options for your deck to win, right? So, yeah, it's snipers have been amazing so far.
All right, so we have Zweisen and Ogres in game. I think we're ready for game 2.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go, Zweisen versus Ogres, game number 2.
Yeah, let's see these decks. That's always been my favorite part of these matches. Like, what do they bring? And, well, okay, Oga's bringing out the MLRS. I mean, again, it will shoot over the missile silo up on that top pad and over the rock, so that's pretty big. Zeiss one does have Scorpion, and he does have Shade as well. And Shade is going to be a big deal, I think. I mean, it's so hard to say, but it's got Sniper and MLRS. So this looks like a pretty good deck here from Oga's.
Yeah, I like Ogres' deck quite a lot. I'm curious to see if it actually works out. Like, the MLRS is really good, but then there's a Shade, and he has to defend it with missiles and Pitbull and Talon, and it's like, the Shade has stealth, so you kind of got to defend it with just the missiles. Right. And then Zweisen has these flamers as well, so he doesn't have to rely on Buggy getting killed by the MLRS. And it's really hard to protect an MLRS with Sniper because they're both 2 range. Like, which one do you put in front? Where do you position them?
Yeah, no kidding.
Super awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're right. The cost plus the awkwardness is going to make it really difficult here. But okay, so MLRS coming out first, and we'll see if he gets some shots off with Zeiss when he seems to know what he's doing. So he's getting great positioning. Although lost both of those buggies with that MLRS, really nice micro there. And now he's going to push up. He's got the flames coming in boosted. The buggy's going to go down to the missiles, and well, the MLRS takes the middle pad. But this is okay. You know what? This is a good position for Ogas. He wants to stall the missile, and now that MLRS is set up, then he just didn't want it to lose its volley. So he moves the Pitbull in place. Nice micro here, but is he going to lose the pads? Well, the bikes are going to move over, and the flames are going to start dealing damage to those missiles. He moves them up to the far right pad, which is great. MLRS can't really do a whole lot in that position. But he's slowly moving over those missiles, and maybe that will do it. His Pitbulls will hold, but nice block from Ziswin on that far left pad. And you know what? This is exactly what Ogas wants. He wants to be stalling, so now he's got his air tower online. He's going to start to get his economy going as well, so who knows? It's hard to say how this is going to play out.
Really interesting to see both players choose to go air towers. Ogas looked like he was saving for Sniper, but instead goes for his air tower. And the MLRS sneaks up and kills that Scorpion. I think he would have lost the missile there if that hadn't happened, because Zweisen would have been on everything. So very nice sneaky MLRS play there. MLRS sneaking across to the left again. MLRS actually MVP here. Very nice MLRS movements from Ogas. Playing very aggressively with that MLRS, and it's really, really rewarding him. And Zweisen, with no laser, doesn't have a cheap option to push it back. So this MLRS has been absolutely dominant whilst he waits for the Shade to come out. Oh, yeah, and the Shade, he's missed micro. He should have gone left to kill the MLRS. Instead he goes right, takes a beating. Bikes do take down the MLRS, but not before the Harvester falls. And now Ogas is rich. He can afford whatever he wants. And in this format, we've shown that's been a very big deal.
It is, yeah, because now he's got all of his options on the table. Whatever he needs, he's not going to be held back by his economy. So this is very good for him. He loses a couple of MLRSs. That's going to be terrible, but yeah, at least he's got the money in tow just to make sure that he's going to be able to maintain it. So here we are. Look at this MLRS second one coming out. He gets it onto the far right pad. Of course, it's going to be a problem here with Zeissman not having enough money to get into his option. He needs shade. He needs something, but it's just not going to work out for him. These snipers are going to be able to protect the MLRS against any oncoming lasers, but he doesn't have lasers. He's only got bikes. So yeah, not looking too good here.
How weird is it to see this where Zweisen, 3 minutes 20 into the game, is limited entirely by money and not pop cap?
Although, having said that, look at that. The bikes clear the tower, and he's not going to hold against with the snipers. And in fact, Zeissman comes back. Really well done there. Oga is just too overcommitted on those MLRSs. I don't think he had enough pop cap to build something that he wanted. Got all the money in the world, but not enough pop cap.
Yep, that one shade really really coming in and dominating that MLRS was completely critical for that missile. And this is what I was saying earlier, like, Ogres does not have a good way to defend against Shade. So the Shades are able to come in and trade for MLRS over and over. And I actually think we should have seen Ogres pulling his Harvester there, because he has so much money. He had an MLRS holding his back pad. That could have been a Harvester. The MLRS could have moved up. And then maybe we see that missile go the other way. And look at this Shade! Look at that stealth! He can't stop it! He can't stop a Shade killing an MLRS. He's just so incapable of doing that. And I think he's relying way too much on these MLRS. He should be going for sniper missiles.
Oh, he gets another one!
Oh my god, what a beast. Ogres, dude, stop making MLRSs. You don't have to make MLRS.
No kidding. Well, he switched over to Mohawk, and you love that. That'll do a great job against the bikes. Another Shade coming out.
Get on the pad, Zeissman. Oh my god.
Oh, but hold on. This Mohawk's going to go down, and it looks like Zeissman's got this.
The Shade again. Oh my god. Ogres. Missiles! My dude, they're in your deck! Use them!
Let's take a look.
I tell you what, we've seen a lot of GDI this tournament. Maybe Nod is not so busted, or maybe Nod needs 10 cost units more than GDI does.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe. Well, okay, so Adam playing a 2 building deck, which, you know what, in this format, you really like to see that, because like we've been talking about, that third building can be very expensive, but depending on how you play the game, can be extremely impactful, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Bial playing pretty much the same thing he has been.
Attack bike ready to rumble.
Building online.
Yeah, I mean, classic BR, he only plays like one deck, so...
Right?
no surprise seeing him play the same thing again. Wow, BR very quickly switching into the Flamers here after going for that bike opening. Atom not looking too good here. That Harvester taking a lot of damage. He's going to have a hard time stopping the bikes with the missiles. And BR is ahead on the Flamer shock fight. I think we're going to have to see Atom have to use a Rhino here to push in. BR's going to respond with a Scorpion, which is going to be absolutely dominant. And then Atom's going to want a Predator, but isn't going to have the money for it. That's what I think we're going to see. Although the missile's close to firing, and this Scorpion is not here yet.
Yeah, so nice boost on that Rhino, pushed off the bottom pad. But Bial making a comeback here with that Scorpion take. He needs to move the Pitbull down. There we go. But the Rhino will go down, and of course, that's going to swing things over to Bial. And all he has to do is block here, and he's got it.
Yeah,
there we go. First missile to Bial.
Yeah, this is exactly how I saw that missile going. Scorpion comes out, shuts down the Rhino. Atom loses the missile to it. Atom needs a Predator to fight the Scorpion, but he's in a slightly awkward position now, where this Scorpion has already accrued some value. If the Scorpion dies, BR is not too upset. It's already killed a few things.
That's right.
And he can make another Scorpion, basically. He does need to get some damage on this Predator. If we end up in a spot where the Predator kills the Scorpion at almost full hit points, which we might see here. Oh no, the Scorpion lives. Scorpion getting a second shot off here is a big deal. Yeah, it's a really big deal. Because now a new Scorpion can kill that Predator.
That's right.
Oh, he boosts it though. I don't know about... There are a lot of targets, but he needs to kill the Predator first. And the boost means he takes a lot of damage.
Oh, that was real close there. I think this, unfortunately, here, like you said, I mean, the Rhino actually has some good vehicle damage. Look at this, it might win. Right. It does.
Oh my god, BR, no.
Oh, actually, Rhino not doing terrible, but the Predator tank's really been the star so far. However, this boosted Scorpion, I don't know, winning against the Predator might not work. He's got a boosted Pitbull up top, and he looks like he's going to block, and, well, hold on a minute.
Not gonna be enough. There it is, the flip, the flip.
That.
No, he's not. BR. Oh, there it is. There it is. Atom falls. Wow, and I gotta say, I did not like those boosts that much because it left BR really low on economy, but the tempo was enough. He was able to win the missile thanks to the tempo on that boost, so...
Yeah,
Hard to argue with it. Hard to argue.
The loss of HP from Oksana's boost is actually being a lot more impactful than it normally would be. I mean, it changes the matchup, which, you know, in this format dictates value, right? So pretty interesting to see that. I mean, there were a lot of risky plays there. The boost, I mean, that Pitbull being boosted, I don't know about that. I think he could have boosted the Predator perhaps, but I was close. I was close.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. And I'd like to say a big thank you to Sarpedon for the 5 gift subs. Thank you very much, Sarpedon. Much love, my dude. Alright, so there it is. BR up 1-0. I do think that the fact that Atom had to go, or maybe not had to, but did go Rhino first missile, allowing BR's Scorpion to win the first missile. Atom's deck is favored the later that game goes on, because BR's deck is weak to Predator Tank. It's just his deck is bad versus Predator Tank. If Atom gets like a couple of Predators rolling and into the middle of the map together, it's really hard for BR to break that. He has to switch into Banshee, which is kind of a bad unit, and loses to Pitbull. So if he gets late game and gets those 2 Predators rolling, it's really hard for Atom to lose. But BR was able to clinch that first missile through like the pressure created by the bikes. That I think was a huge part of it. Atom chose to respond to the bikes with a Pitbull, which then meant that he had to go Rhino because there were too many Flamers on the field, which meant the Scorpion was a big hitting unit. If instead we'd seen him able to block the bikes from getting to the Harvester with the missiles, he doesn't have to go Pitbull because he's not under pressure anymore, which means he's able to go shocks in equal measure to the Flamers, at which point BR probably has to go Buggy or just continue Flamer shock mirroring, which is good for Atom because it stalls the missile. If BR goes Buggy, then Atom can go Predator, and then BR doesn't have a good answer to Predators because Scorpion doesn't beat it.
Yeah, that'd be, like you said, having like tech switching into Pitbull there against the attack bikes. Yeah, that really swung the first missile over BR's favor. I mean, he decided to defend the Harvester, which I think he should have went for stall, you know, like he should have tried to let the game go on longer. But yeah, BR, I mean, using attack bikes, like they have been so darn good throughout this tournament.
Yeah. It's really just the nature of the fact the attack bikes slipped past the missiles and were able to pressure the Harvester. Forcing Atom to feel like he had to get a faster unit to harass them, which makes sense. But then he goes for the Pitbull. If he'd like stalled the missile with his missiles and then gone Predator and used the Predator to force off the bikes, then he's a lot better off against the Scorpion. But then how does he break through these 2 Flamers that BR's made? Like, BR made Flamers knowing that Atom was probably going to Rhino to counter them, and therefore allow the Scorpion to be good. Because he went like double Flamer, which wasn't even good. It was like a single missile on the field. He didn't do 2 Flamers. We went double Flamer knowing these guys have hit points and Atom's probably going to respond with something that loses to Scorpion. And if he responds with something that doesn't lose Scorpion, it's probably going to be an infantry, which the Flamers are good against. So he's like, if Atom was able to go like missiles and then he goes drone swarm against the Flamers, but then of course the bikes are so good against that, it's just rough, man. Like, it's just it's just a situation of BR being like, I know GDI can't respond well to bike flame. Like, GDI just doesn't have a good response to bike flame right at the start of the game. There is nothing GDI can do that is really going to beat that. So he's able to make that play regardless of what his opponent does because he knows GDI doesn't have a good option in that spot. Okay, let's go on to game 2. BR versus Atom. Exciting stuff.
Okay,
BR also continuing to play Nod. Like, he just refuses to ever touch that GDI. And I think Predators would have been really good. I mean, if he keeps winning, why change, right?
True enough. Well, and you know what? Things might get punishing here. We see Mutant Marauders for the first time here on stream. And, well, I don't know. I mean, the Mutant Marauders against the Flames, he doesn't... I don't know. It depends on who gets their Flames out first.
Why no Chuggy? Like, if you're opening Laser, you've got Laser and Flame, I get it, because you can't play Militant. And then why Buggy instead of Chuggy, though? Like, why wouldn't you just play, like, Mutant Chuggy with Flames instead of Rifles?
Yeah, I guess, well, it could be the cost. Maybe he's concerned that, you know, he's going to have to rely on that combination a lot in order to win. And, you know, if he doesn't get enough to get his combined arms up online, then perhaps he's just going to lose flat out. But I have to agree with you. I think Buggy just being a very efficient unit, it's extremely good. Although he's going double mutant here. This is interesting.
This is wild.
I don't know about this.
The second mutant is insane. Whoa, why has BR gone tank?
Oh my, okay.
Is he is this preemptive? Is he expecting a Buggy? And there just isn't one, and now he has this useless tank. Oh my god, this is why I hate like predictive unit building. Because if your opponent doesn't play into your game plan, it's just so bad. Whoa, what are you doing, Atom? Oh my god, that misclick.
Oh, the
And then BR did the same thing. What is happening?
Oh gosh, what is happening? A comedy of errors from both sides. We saw the Flames move out of position twice from both players here, which caused Adam to make a clawback there because I think BR really had it there.
Yeah,
but,
for sure. Like, BR was definitely going to win that missile.
Wow. Okay, I haven't seen that happen in a long time.
That
But
was so
okay, I
insane.
mean, we still got 2 more missiles potentially. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, so much misclick there from BR, obviously.
Yeah, you don't see that too often especially from these type of players, right? But
Yeah.
well, you know, Adam really pushing hard with these mutants. I don't know what the thought is. There's only one Scorpion tank on the field here, and he's got to really deal with these flamers. And you know, the problem here is that Buggy just doesn't clear them efficiently enough before Scorpion tank gets in there, and that's
Yes.
exactly what we're going to see.
That is
Having
the
said
problem.
that, though, it looks like he's getting a little bit of value here. These mutant marauders pushing the tank out of position, but doesn't matter now. Those flames are clearing up those mutants with ease. He's got 2 Scorpions on the field, and you know what? I think this is what it's coming down to is unit composition.
Yes. The problem is that Buggy is a terrible unit when your opponent has tank.
Yes.
And what Atom needs to do is win the Flamer War with Flamers. He needs to win a Flamer War.
Oh, it's getting so close. The boosted flames clear it out. The Buggy's not going to be good enough against it because that Scorpion tank's going to come in. All he has to do is block with the flamers on the top pad, and there we go. All right, yeah, coming back. We're winning that second missile, and we are going to see a 3-missile game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen BR repeatedly now making Scorpions with no targets because he just wants to play Flamer Scorpion. Like, he's just
That's right.
so confident that he wants to play Flamer Scorpion that even with nothing for a Scorpion to kill, he just makes the Scorpion to back up a Flamer. And Atom has no air, so there's no way to punish this combo. Like, Atom needs to basically... I think Atom just needs to win the mirror. Like, that's what this is. They're both playing Flamer Scorpion Oksana. I think Atom clearly has not played during the old Flamer Shock meta, because if you'd played during that meta, you'd know that Buggy doesn't work. The only out to the Flamer Shock meta is to Flamer Shock more than your opponent does.
Yep, and that's why Buggy was not considered a good unit for a long time. It was
Yep.
exactly because of tanks.
Yep.
Buggy just doesn't have a lot of hit points. That's about 1,300. For a Scorpion tank, that's a mincemeal, you know? Like, it's going to
Yep.
take care of that no problem. So, yeah, it's exactly what we're seeing here. And look at this. Biaf pushing out the Flamers. 3 of them now. He's blocking the Mutant Marauders very well. It looks like he's going to get it here. All he has to do is block this bottom pad, and there it is. Biaf wins.
Yeah, and BR did play during the Flamer Shock meta. It's in fact where he started playing. And
Yes.
it's where he learned to play the game, and he never let go of it. Like, that's why he plays these two. He started playing during Flamer Shock meta. He played Wheel Militant Tank and Shock Tank, and he just never stopped playing it. Game number 1, Zeissman versus BR. BR bringing Nod in a shocking turn of events.
No kidding. Okay, well, let's have a look here. And, well, okay, so Zeissman hasn't brought Predators. He does have Snipers, though. And on a map like this where you have that congested middle, you know, it's easier to block for them. So I think the Snipers here are going to actually be very, very good. I don't know, though. I mean, as long as he gets Sniper, Pitbull, and Predator going, at least something like that, I think he's going to have no problems here. And Banshee is going to be completely underwhelming, although Zeissman's also got 2 unit slots taken up by Drone Storm and Hammerhead, which I don't think he's going to need at all. So, I don't know. It's a bit of a wash deck. Well, not deck-wise, but in terms of the both the decks they brought here. So, but Snipers, yeah, they should do a really good job.
Yeah, I agree. Snipers on this map are going to be amazing. Look, he's already time to switch into Buggy because he needs a way to break the missiles that isn't losing to Sniper. Zeissman's pretty low on money here. Goes for a boost on this missile. Looks like it's going to be enough. That Buggy's not going to take them down in time. And there it is, and very nice. Zeissman taking down that first one with just Sniper missile. Once Zeissman gets a Predator out, Bayer's going to be in so much trouble.
Unit ready.
Yeah, and you know, it is expensive for him to get there for his first one, 110 tib for that first Predator, but like you said, I mean, that with the Snipers to back them up, that's going to shut down any oncoming lasers, and Predator tank's just going to be excellent against everything else. And then there's Banshee left over, but Banshee, as we know, just isn't that great.
Wow, and Zeissman goes for a Pitbull instead of a Predator here. I really would have preferred Predator. Pitbull beats Buggy, but it doesn't completely annihilate it the way Predator does. Maybe he's just worried about an air switch. But he's got the missiles, right? Like, most of your units are missiles, so you shouldn't be too worried about an air switch. So yeah, I think it would have made way more sense to go for a Predator there. Because now, like, you got this Pitbull, but out comes a Scorpion. Scorpion is something you
Yeah.
want to make against snipers anyway, but maybe it's just not quick enough. I mean, look at this. Zeissman just, wow, yes. Zeissman just out-tempoed BR so hard because these snipers were amazing.
Yeah, there's nothing he could do. He had no way to just clear them in time. And you know, the Scorpion was a decent play at the end there, but you know, the game just played out as a one-pad game. You know, nobody touched the bottom pad except for Zeissman there.
Yeah.
So Bia just, he got completely dominated that entire game.
Yeah, that game was not remotely close. And to be honest, like, I mean, I say it a lot. BR always brings the same deck, brings something that beats him. And Zeissman went, well, this is a good sniper map. Snipers are really good against Fire. I'm just going to bring some snipers. And he just crushed him. Just completely crushed him. Like, BR, do we see BR make a change? Probably not.
Yeah, this is, like, of any time during the tournament to make a change, this is it. Like, he's made it to the finals, you know, and he's done it on the back of that deck. But he's got to change things here. I mean, Zeissman just keeps playing that. Although, we're going to see a change in map here. We're on peaks and valleys now. It's not quite the same. The middle is a lot more open. It's a very different map by far. And also 2 4-pad or hex pads up on the top there. So that changes things up a bit too. But still, I mean, the combination still would work here. So
yeah, I mean, peaks and valleys is a much better map for, like, if that matchup plays out again, BR's much better off than he was last time because of the map now. So I could see him just play the same deck. It's not completely unreasonable because in this matchup, this matchup is a lot better for BR than it was previously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we could see him play the same game, same deck, but maybe we'll see him make a change. I can't believe we haven't seen him play GDI at all. I don't understand. I'd like to maybe ask him afterwards why he's hating on his GDI so much, but I feel like Predator would have been good in a lot of games. So kind of surprised. Just getting some confirmation on if we're ready to start. There it is. Okay, I think we're ready to get going. So game number 2, Zeissman versus BR. BR playing Nod again. Zeissman playing Nod as well though, not playing the sniper deck this time. He's playing interesting deck there. He's got the Venom and the Shade. I like it, man. I like this deck quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this deck a lot. I think this is good against BR. Shade is really good in this matchup, but he doesn't lose a ton of tempo in the early game whilst trying to get to the Shade because he can still play Flamer and Tank against Flamer and Tank. And then once he can save up for a Shade, he's going to be in really good shape. Interestingly, BR goes for a Flamer opening, which is a very meta play. Very meta play here because everyone keeps opening laser, so Bias has gone Flamer opening. And you can see it's absolutely dominant. Like, this is a very meta opening and it's absolutely crushing. Zeissman's been forced to go double Flamer to try and fight back. BR could just go third Flamer. He does go third Flamer. Zeissman goes for a boost to get onto that bottom pad. And wow, did BR's Flamers shoot the laser? Is that what happened there? Because he did no damage at all. Yeah, that was brutal. But BR goes back with a boost of his own. Looking pretty strong. He's going to get on the middle. Zeissman broke. Look, he has no money. He can't afford another Flamer. I think that's going to be it. BR's going to take it because he has more Flamers. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yep. So he's going to throw the second Flamer onto that far right, and of course Zeissman doesn't have enough time to push. So well, there we go. BR takes that first missile.
And that's
Flamer
because Zeissman opens laser and BR opened Flamer, and he was just ahead on Flamers.
Yep. Yeah,
BR
and you know what?
Buggy here. I hate this buggy build. I don't understand why he went buggy at all. Like, you got to expect Zeissman to be changing tech, but like make something that count. Like the Flamer's already winning against his Flamers, right? So you want to make something that counters something that will counter your Flamer.
That's right.
Wow, nice micro from BR to eat half the Shade volley with his Flamers and get some chip on that Shade. This Shade is a big deal. And here BR's gone for a tank, assuming that tank will be good with Flamer, and this time it was not. So feels bad, man. So he's forced to just go after the Harvester with no other play to be made for that tank.
Yeah, that's not great. And look at this. We're almost at the end of the missile here. And, well, Zeissman's going to make a pretty good comeback. He's got a Shape, but it's not fully reloaded. It looks like the bikes are going to win that.
He's broke. He only has Flamers. He made too many Flames. He should have made another Shade. And BR just takes it down.
Wow. Wow, what a change from the first game.
Why did he make so many
cow.
Flames? He made triple Flame and BR had no infantry left.
Wow.
Well,
yeah, like, oh man, this is again, like the tech switches are such a big deal, and you know, he switched into buggy there, and of course I felt like Zeissman had the advantage at that point because, well, Shade was going to be so good, but he ran out of money. So
Yeah, I mean, this has been like, it's been, money has been the factor every single game. Like, everyone is broke.
Yeah.
Like, people don't have enough money to simply go to the back pad with something, because there's no 10 cost unit you can quickly throw on the back pad when you need to. Cheapest thing everyone has is lasers, pretty much. And lasers take a long time as well to move there, so it's like you got to preemptively move some lasers up there. You don't really want to do that against like in a flamer war either, because they're not good in the flamer war. So it's this super awkward spot where you don't have the ability to go and grab a pad, and I actually think bikes are the best unit for that role. Like, when you need something to go and grab a back pad, bikes are great. But Zeissman didn't have his war factory open, did he? He was air and barracks.
Yeah,
and he was too broke to go third building. Like, these games are ending before people can get third building. So I actually think these 2-2-2 decks are really, really awkward. And again, should you just be playing laser drone? Like, is that somewhere where you should be? Like, should you be playing laser drone to have a cheap, fast unit, or like jump jets or something like that is available? I mean,
maybe. I mean, it's not so bad awkward against Nod, but it's hard to say. Like, the laser drones just lose to so many things easily, right? But maybe, I don't know. And especially with a three hex vision, maybe that actually helps a lot. I don't know. I would like to see it just to see what it looks like. But yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Very weird indeed. Once again, just getting confirmation if we're ready to go. I think we're ready to start the next game in a second. Just waiting on, there it is. All right, so we are ready to go with the third game of the finals. Zeissman versus BR.
All right, well, we got one up on both sides, and here we are in Fighting Pit, one of my favorite maps. I really, really love this map, and let's take a look here. So, wow, okay, Bia bringing the snipers here. He's changed over to GDI finally, guys. We're seeing it. All right, and good change for him here too. I think the shade's going to be great, and I don't know if Bia ever gets to his hammerhead to really shut down the air tower from Zeissman, but you know, snipers should be pretty decent here just to deal with any oncoming flamers, but no lasers from Zeissman, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say here how this is going to play out. I think there's good choices from both sides. We've got Venom to deal with the snipers if need be, and I don't know about Rhino. I'm not sure if Rhino's really going to do much here, but I guess we'll find out. So yeah, right off the bat here, we got you know, missiles coming out against the buggy, and yeah, Bia's having to back off here. The flamers are getting into position, and now they're going to be able to clear those missiles with no problem. Pitbull coming out here, good switch from Bia into his war factory. The Rhino here, again, I don't know if I like this too much. It just doesn't deal with the flames fast enough. Like, it has decent anti-infantry damage, but that's just it. It's only decent. So now, without really a great tech switch here from Bia, he's getting pushed off these pads here. The Rhino, I mean, it's getting some damage here on the flames, and Zeissman having to split up his units, but doesn't matter here. Scorpion cleared that other Rhino, and now he's got all three pads. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, look at that Scorpion, man.
Either.
Like, when you have these games where people are playing Rhinos and buggies, tank is so dominant. It's so dominant, and BR going for Rhino when he has sniper in the deck, like, you need to be sniping, not Rhino. That's where you need to be. Like, trying to go double Rhino to clear flamers, like, you need to snipe. That's where you have to be. You have to play sniper and predator. That's how you win this matchup. Like, sniper, missile, predator.
Yeah, and like right now, Zeissman having both of those Scorpions out. I mean, yeah, the Predator actually has been really good micro here from Bia. He really knows how to move tanks in and out of gameplay to make sure he maintains value out of it. That's one of a really important skill for a Rivals player in a matchup like this. But unfortunate for him there, Zeissman takes it down, and you know what? Now that Bia spent so much money on that tank, it's not looking too good here. So he boosted, getting it into position on that top pad. It's going to clear the bikes, but I really like this tech switch of Venom here from Zeissman.
Yeah, really
that means Bia is going to have to rely on a Pitbull, but with the tank out. However, having said that, I mean, I don't know. Things are changing around here.
The tech switch is great, but look how good this Predator's been. It's just been absolutely shrekking. Like, he doesn't even need the snipers anymore because the Predators just kill everything.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, he's got it all covered down, and Zeissman completely backing off. Bia comes back and winning that second missile.
And this, again, is just showing... I don't think you can play 3 buildings in this format.
No,
I mean,
I agree.
It's so weird, but like, he switched into air tower, made that Venom, and now he can't afford anything. Like, he needs... Maybe because he won that first missile, he has time to build up his economy after losing the tempo on second missile. Because this shade is going to be a big deal, right? Like, this shade is going to be huge, being able to take out the Predators. But how does
the
he
boost
beat...
on the missiles?
How does he beat Sniper Missile? It seems so tough.
That's just it, right? Like, if he just relied here on, like, he really only needs one sniper squad and then just a bunch of missiles. And, I mean, the Venom could do an okay job, but other than that, he's only got Buggy, and one Predator tank's going to shut that down, so...
Yep. Super rough.
Well, and it looks like so far Bia's doing a pretty good job here. He's got map position, he's got control of these pads. The Predator tank's on the bottom pad. Of course, you know, it's not going to be able to clear it in one volley. Predator tank has a ton of health. Boost up those missiles just to make sure. And of course, his Venom here, a decent tech switch, but it's not going to be quite enough. He's got all 3 pads here covered. The Shade's just not going to do anything, and there it is. Bia takes that 3rd missile, winning the game. Well played.
It really didn't feel like he ever got back from that tempo loss. Like, the tempo loss of switching into the air tower, he just never got back from it. And it's so hard to use air versus Pitbull. It's so hard to be efficient with air versus Pitbull.
Exactly. Yeah. Oof. Wow.
Super rough.
Wow. These games have been going back and forth. Like, the one thing I thought that was going to happen is that because of the you know, the higher cost of units, I really thought the economy would snowball the game one way or the other. And you know what? It has in some cases, but not as much as I expected it to. The games we've been seeing a lot of 3 missile games in this tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, we see a lot of tempo swings, and I do think the economy is in part what is causing these 3 missile games, because what's often happening is one player is simply unable to play efficiently on the first missile because their deck is expensive. Right. And then once they get rolling, like Predator, once BR started getting Predators out, Zeissman just couldn't fight them because he didn't.
That's right.
There wasn't enough money with the new economy and no cheap units for him to make. He wasn't able to build up enough money to effectively switch into Shades. And that's what he needed. Like, he needed to switch into the Shade Venom, but he was only able to make like 2 Shades before he ran out of money.
Yeah. Yeah, that 3rd building is costing these players a ton, especially when, you know, like the problem I think for Nod with Shade being in the air tower is that you start off with your barracks and your war factory, and then you really need to get into your air tower to effectively tech switch, but it's so expensive at that point that it hamstrings you against any of your other options that you have. So it's tough. This has been interesting both from an economy point of view, but just from seeing how the players are responding to the environment. It's yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, it's been really really an unusual set of games. But I mean, it's been really interesting to see how different things are without those 10 cost units.
Yeah, it has been. I loved it.
Alright, so of course, guys, we are approaching the end of the tournament now. This is match point for BR. Once again, I would like to plug the Legion links. There is the Discord, which you should obviously be a part of. There is Buy Me a Coffee, which if you want to support Legion staff. There's the merch if you want some Legion merch, and again, support Legion. And then there is the prize pool link if you want to donate towards the Legion's Arena prize pool for both this qualifier, the final qualifier, and the grand finals. Obviously, without the support of the community, we cannot continue to run these events. So if you like these events, please consider even just donating like $5 or something. Obviously, every little helps, and it really helps us run these tournaments. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get to match point. BR versus Zeissman.
Here we go. Alright, BR playing GDI again. You'll love to see it, and Zeissman's going back with Nod. Well, let's see what happens.
2, 1. New objective available.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, you know, I really like both of these decks. Of course, you know, the only thing I don't like in Bia's deck is Rhino. I think that's kind of the weakest choice there, but you know what? Both players seem to have good outs to each other. The Hammerhead, again, I don't know what the idea there. I do think Talon would be better just because it is you know, an easier choice for you to get there if you absolutely need to go air tower. It's going to cost him 140 just to get that first Hammerhead. Having said that, though, I think it seems like both players have good outs to each other, so I don't know. This could be a pretty interesting match.
Yeah, and BR playing snipers again, which is, I mean, we saw him win with it last time, but it's so unusual to see BR play anything different. Like,
yeah, right. You're right about that. But it's paying dividends. I mean, look at this. First missile about to fire off. He's got Venom and Flames to deal with Rhino, Sniper, and Missile, and he's going to make a push here. Boosted Venom going to clear those snipers, but is it going to be in time? The Pitbull there is just going to be able to get on the pad super easy, and well, nope. Zeissman just can't fight back, and BR takes that first missile.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great 2-range map. I really like to see both Giga and Sniper. BR's snipers in the early game was absolutely dominant there. I really didn't like Zeissman's Venom switch. because your opponent already has War Factory. They have a Rhino. They're clearly just going to make a Pitbull. The Venom's not going to get that much done. And you need Giga. Giga is so good versus BR's deck. Like, his deck is really, really weak to Giga, so your game plan should just even be give up first missile to build a Giga and surround it with units. Like, make a Giga, surround it with bikes. That seems really hard for BR to beat. But it's going to be too late now, I think. Like, he needs to boost this Giga to clear the pads in time. Here comes a... Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it isn't too late. The Giga is getting into position. Once this Giga's in position, BR's going to have a really hard time breaking it. Oh, no, hang on, the Giga, dude!
But hold on, it fully charges again! Oh, he does! Boosted Predator goes down, the boosted Giga doing some real work there, and you know what? That was so close to him losing that missile there, but he might just be able to claw back. He's got to hold on here, these bikes are about to go down, and man, Zeisswin, what a comeback! That was real close there. That Giga, like any second longer, and I'm sure he loses that missile, but whew. Wow, that's like, just how good Giga is in this matchup, right?
It's disgusting to watch a boosted Predator unable to get a second shot off against an he didn't miss the block. So the Predator got in against the Giga, and the Predator got one shot off before the Giga killed it. Like, that's ridiculous.
Boy,
like, Giga just kills. Boosted Giga just does way too much damage. Obviously, the problem was the Giga was already charging up because it was attacking something on the top pad. That was the issue. But it's still gross to see how strong Giga can be. And I actually think Zeisswin, he doesn't have the money for it, but if he was in a position where he could simply make like 4 Gigas, BR would never be able to beat it.
You're right about that. Well, and you know, that's one thing about this economy that makes it interesting, right? Like, he doesn't have that available to him. But, well, you know what? Bial's not going to be able to push back from here, I feel. This Predator tank just not getting a lot of value. Tac Bikes being extremely efficient and good blockers for that Giga. But here we go. He's sneaking up through the back there. He gets onto the Giga, but the Flamers come in and take the pad. Venom does go down to the Pitbull, but it's only a matter of time.
They actually killed it! Oh my god, I think BR wins now.
Oh my goodness, hold on, he's gonna block with the flames. Nice movement there. He's gonna try and get the bikes over there. They are boosted. Pitbull might clear them, but oh, wow.
What? Dude?
Wow. Holy cow.
Did he have lag?
Opened the door and Zeisswin came flying through. I mean, geez, those attack bikes. He didn't get the block with the Pitbull on the far left there, and that opened up Zeisswin's winning opportunity, and he took it.
Did BR, like, disconnect? Like, what, he gets the Giga and then he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm just going to AFK.
Man, that was a crazy game. Like, wow, the timing on that Giga coming out, like you said, going to Venom in that first missile there really cost him big time. He lost the missile right there, the first missile. But then he smartly saved up with 2 laser squads on the field, and Bia didn't really push up against it, which maybe that's what he should have done. He was at the middle part of the map. Maybe he pushes forward against the base, and that might have stopped the Giga from coming out. But either way, the Giga was just there in time, managed to secure the middle pad by clearing out both of the units that were there, thanks to the beam crossing over. And yeah, then of course at the end there, man, wow.
Crazy ending.
Well, I guess we're going to see it. You know what? I got to give it to Zeiss when he's pushing it up to 5 games here. I mean, geez. Yeah, like the map here we're about to play on, it's a real tug of war. This has been crazy.
What was really interesting was that was that missile snuck around the top and then got boosted to get onto the Giga.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking to myself, like, how does Zeisswin not see that coming, right? Like, as soon as you see the missile start heading up there, then I think maybe he didn't have vision of it. Because everything's 2 vision.
Yeah.
Like, no one has any free vision units. Everyone has a lot less vision than usual. I feel like he should have been able to see it. I think he had a unit 1 tile below the missile that can see all the way above the missile. But he didn't block it.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe he just didn't see it coming. But like, his Giga was half hit points. It was too low to tank a missile walking up to it. Yeah. And he didn't block with his laser. He could have moved the laser 1 tile to the right, and I don't think he can ever lose that. I mean, he won the game anyway, but that Giga would never die. And then it basically came down to BR killed it, and then should have just pushed up and blocked, but didn't. Yeah. And then those bikes just like swung through and again didn't get blocked, and BR was just sitting there like falling apart as his Predator shoots a flame squad by accident.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely savage. Like, he should have had the win there.
Ooh. He should have. You're right. Yeah, like at the end there. I mean, the Giga was obviously Giga was an incredibly strong unit in that matchup. And, you know, had Zeisswin played, you know, protected a little bit better, like you said, the boosted missiles coming around the corner. And maybe you're right. Like, maybe not having 3-tile vision, because I'm thinking about it. I don't know if he was actually on the far right pad. He had flamers there. I don't know if they were on the far right pad or if they were just next to the Giga, which wouldn't have seen those top 2 hexes. So Maybe, like, and especially in a game like this where, you know, things are happening so quickly. Oh, yeah, it's quite possible that had a big impact.
Yep, it's really hard to say what happened. Oh, well, crazy game.
Yeah, well,
All
here
right,
we go.
so we're
I mean,
gonna have
it's
match
2-2
points.
in this series,
Yep.
right?
This is the last game. This is all the marbles. Of course, both players are qualified for the finals now. I think it is the top 4 who qualify, so actually it's for very few of the marbles. But still, you know, you want that trophy. You gotta take down this game.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man, and these series have been so close, and it's been great to see. Like, this is the type of rivals that we've always wanted, right? Like close games where, you know, strategy plays a big element, and that's, I think, one of the biggest changes here is that strategy is so much more important, as opposed to just being, you know, a really amazing micro player. So yeah, no, it's been great. Well, shall we get on with it?
Just waiting on. Oh, there he is. Bayer is here. We are ready for the final game. Zeissman versus BR. Match point. This for many marbles.
That's right.
2.
Oh, both players picking GDI. What do we got on the table?
Sniper
Well,
mirror.
it's basically the same, except, well, Zeissman's brought jump jets. And,
Sniper mirror,
you know,
yep,
with
jump
both
jets
players playing
versus
snipers...
Talon.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think the Talon's going to be a better choice just because it can at least hold a pad at the last second, right? But I don't know. What do you think?
Also, I think we have seen almost exclusively boost commanders in this tournament.
Yes, you're right.
I don't think we've seen like one Seth. We've seen like one Seth, and that's it.
Yep.
And I think it's because of the economy, right? Like, people don't feel like they can afford anything but 30 cost commander power.
Right.
And look at this exact trade. Both snipers clean up the missiles. Not even sure. I guess once the missiles take a volley, there's no... And both players are going Rhino, or is... No, BR's going Pitbull to protect his sniper.
What a smart play from Bia. He held on just to wait and see what Zeissman was going to do, which opened him up to build this Pitbull to counter the Rhino, and this could be a big deal.
He's allowed to get a
little bit more value here.
This was a preemptive... They only have 2 vision, there's no way he saw the Rhino coming. He just built a Pitbull. He was like, I've got a sniper, I want to go Pitbull with it. That's what happened there.
Yeah, and it did cost 10 more than the Rhino, so that's probably why the delay. But it's working out great for Bia. He decided not to go Rhino, so smart play by him. And now look at this. He's pushing up a little bit ahead. Of course, the snipers aren't dealing with the infantry yet, and now he's going to be able to get into position here. He does need to deal with that single sniper. He's moved it up a little bit too far dealing with the Pitbull, but he does clear it. So maybe it worked after all. However, doesn't get the block there. He's a little bit mismicroing these snipers.
Yeah, BR boosted his sniper to move in against Zeissman's sniper, which I think was not a good play because it didn't matter. The snipers weren't that relevant because it was all about the vehicles. And Zeissman went Predator, which is really good. Like, it's cleaned up. It's cleaning up. It's forced BR back. And then Zeissman's sniper was able to come in and clean up what was left of BR's sniper, allowing Zeissman to switch back into infantry, which is good against the enemy Predator.
Yep.
Now, of course, BR goes snipers, and this is the sniper mirror is so weird because both players sit 2 tiles away from each other, and you can't really push in. Like, look at this. He tries to push in and gets slaughtered by the defensive snipers, meaning that Zeissman easily takes the missile.
Yeah, I think Bia building that Rhino, I think that was a huge mistake. I think he should have saved his money and saved up for another Predator tank or missiles or something. But yeah, it just didn't work out here. And you know, jump jets coming out. I don't know why he's built jump jets. I don't think they're really going to do much of anything, as we see here. Those snipers are just clearing them up. You know, yeah, this is pretty much a mirror at the end of the day, and I don't know what's going to change over to Bia's favor.
Yeah, and Zeissman now is going to get a Harvester kill, which in a tank mirror is a massive deal because you end up way ahead on tanks.
Yep.
Basically, both players just want to make tanks and snipers. But BR is now behind in the tank war. He lost his Harvester, he has 1 less tank, which means he can't just make tank, and he has to do something different. And if you're the person who can just make tank and sniper in this matchup, you're super happy.
Yeah, Bia's got to pull some amazing micro tricks out of his pocket if he's going to be able to overcome this, but I don't see how that's possible. Like, yes, there is time on the table here. We're at 3 minutes. Economy's around for both players, but that Harvester kill is really starting to pay dividends here for Zeissman. Look at all the money he's got. You know, then he's got more Predator tanks than Bia does, and at the end of the day, that seems to be winning the game, so...
Yeah, that's what matters here. Who can get more, who can win the sniper tank mirror, and at the moment, Zeissman's winning comfortably.
Yeah, here we go. Rhino coming down. The boosted missile's not really doing a whole lot. They're getting chewed up by those snipers with, you know, on a map like this where the pads are concentrated towards the center. It means that these 2 range units are just amazing. And, well, he boosted them again to get these oncoming laser missiles, and that's it.
He got so far behind in the tank mirror, and that was the whole game was about tank sniper. And that BR's preemptive first Pitbull makes sense in like a ladder situation where you're like, I just want to make Pitbulls to block with my snipers, but in a sniper mirror like this, you can't rely on your snipers. You can't rely on the snipers killing all the enemy infantry because there's enemy snipers.
Yeah.
So your snipers will trade, which means that what you need to do is then protect. And also, you don't need to protect your sniper from air because it's a war factory mirror. So the first Pitbull was really good because it countered that Rhino, but then I think the second Pitbull really hurt him because he got behind against the Predators. And once you're behind in the Predator mirror, that was it. Zeissman just took it down with the Predators. And Predator sniper mirror. BR not comfortable with that sniper mirror, much more of a shock trooper player. Played the sniper mirror a little bit like they were shocks, which is not how it works. They play differently. And Zeissman comfortably takes that game there. That harvester kill as well really cinched it. It was very difficult to come back from that.
Yeah, there was nothing he could do, really. I mean, his economy just completely swung. And that's the thing. In a mirror match, economy it's like, you know, it's like you're on a teeter, you know?
Yeah.
And any small swing the other way is really going to give you a giant advantage. And that's what happened. You know, he took out his harvester. It took a while for that harvester to rebuild and get back to the tib fields. All the while, Zeissman's making bank. I mean, he had 120 tib compared to Bial at like 40, and that matters a lot because the more tanks you build, the more likely you're going to win. And yeah, I mean, Zeissman, you know, well played by both players. It was a tough matchup. They both really brought decks that would have been a great choice for that map. It just ended up being a mirror match, and that just brought the game down to such a close match. Really, and you know, the other really interesting thing here, I think Zeissman was like number 19th seed or something like that,
Yeah,
and he took down the number 1 seed in BIA, and wow, that's amazing. You know what, like, obviously BIA probably feels bad about losing that game. I think he probably felt like there were a lot of things he could have done differently.
Yeah.
And he is an amazingly talented player, but you know what? Zeissman, wow, like what an exciting player! And overall, like the games this tournament have just been absolutely phenomenal. Like some of the closest games we've ever seen, but not just close, but consistently close. And that to me has made this tournament like one of the best I think I've been a part of in a long time. Just fantastic, really outstanding stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this tournament. I think that the games played out so differently to what we're used to because of the no 10 cost units. Like, the start of every Rivals game is just a spam of 10 cost units so often. And that is so different now. The money was so critical every single game.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is insane, but would it have made sense sometimes for people to go double half? Like, people were actually
I think the pop cap,
broke.
though.
People were broke. People were limited by money rather than pop caps so often. It probably wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
It probably, because of the new economy, the second harvester makes less money than it used to. It probably wouldn't have been good still. But I'm just curious. Like, so many people were so broke so often, and it used to be the case. I don't know how it is these days, but it used to be the case that actually you could win tank mirrors by going double half and just making way more tanks than your opponent.
Yeah.
And we did have a lot of games that came down to tank mirrors, and we had a lot of games that people were sitting, waiting for money before they could build units. So maybe actually double harvester would have been good. It's hard to say. It would have been really interesting to see, because people just so often had spare pop cap and not enough money, and that's what a harvester is. It's trading pop cap for money.
That's a good point. Like, especially in the second missile, right, where your pop cap starts to refresh a lot faster.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like, what if you play a deck like Nod, right? That, you know, like a heavy mid-range Nod deck where you're pretty much guaranteed to win first missile against GDI and, you know, do well in the first missile against Nod. But then second missile, you build that harvester where you don't really necessarily need the extra pop cap, but you need the extra cash, and you just close the game out. But then again, I don't know, maybe you do need the harvester at the very beginning, but then do you throw away the first missile at that point?
What about like a lovely bike flamer first missile 1/2, second missile second half inferno spam?
Yeah, like something like that, right? Like that would allow you to reach either a third building or, you know, like a key unit, like Inferno perhaps. So
like,
oh man, you know what? The great thing about it is it gets you thinking. You know, it really gets you thinking about the game and about how the strategy plays out. Like I can't even fathom, you know, all of the different scenarios, and it's totally changed the landscape. Like, man, that's cool.
There's some very interesting options here, and like double half Inferno spam is a deck that still is reasonably viable even now even with 10 cost units existing. Now, whether that deck requires Rifleman to function, I don't know. I don't think it necessarily does. I think it's fine to play, you know, buggy flamer or bike flamer and just like open bikes, have like or open laser flamer. Like open laser flamer, go double half in the second missile and spam Infernos. And we saw a lot of decks that were War Factory centric. We saw a lot of tank mirrors where Inferno would have been great. A lot of people still had a big anti-air unit, but there wasn't a lot of air around. And I think the further in the tournament we got, the more we saw people moving away from that. Like there was more Talon, less Hammerhead, no Phantoms. We basically saw 0 Phantoms the whole day. We saw quite a few stealth tanks, but they looked terrible in the early stages of the tournament. So by the end of this tournament, I think someone could have easily gone for Infernos, and the meta had developed to a point where no one really had good anti-air anymore because there wasn't any point because no one was playing air. Like there was a lot of Talons, but that was about it. And most of the time people couldn't afford to switch into them because of the tank mirrors. So
that's right.
What if you did like a Laser, Flame, Bike, Scorpion, Inferno, Phantom, and you play the start of the game, you open like Laser or Flamer, and then you go tanks to fight the buggies and rhinos that everyone has. And then after first missile, you second half and go Inferno spam. I think it could have been really good.
Yeah, I think the only issue there is if you get pushed off the field, right? Like if you lose map position, then your harvesters are just extra cash for your opponents. So
that is the problem,
that is the only major issue with that. But it depends on the deck, and it really depends on how you play. And I mean, the fast move, the fast movement speed, and the fact that a bike is a 3-person squad. Those two things just make it such an incredible. And of course, the fact that it's instant damage, right? It has a volley, so all of those things just make bikes so damn efficient that you know what? Maybe that wouldn't be an issue. You could just rely on the power of bikes in so many different ways to block. So I don't know. Yeah, and of course map plays a role too, but I think you make a really good point there. Yeah, like maybe 2 harvesters could be a way to go.
The question is, can you like in these like tank mirrors, because like a lot of these games with the no 10 cost units, the decks were so much heavier and less efficient. It was really hard to come back once you start getting pushed down. Like normally laser is a good comeback mechanic, but like everybody had buggy, rhino, flamer, shock, so those lasers and missiles don't do a very good job of coming back. And don't have those 10 cost units to like buy time and be efficient. So maybe when you build your second half, you fall too far behind, you get pushed off the map and they kill your halves. But if you can like sneak that second half in at some point and then continue your tank mirror but with extra cash, it's interesting, man. It's interesting whether or not it would work. Anyway, enough theory crafting.
Back in the day used to do that.
Sorry?
Well, back in the day, like I remember way back in the tank meta, like when you were playing against Alicia and she had levels on you, I remember you would say, you know what, I'm going to build a double hard because that allows me to build more tanks, which will hopefully overcome that level difference.
Yes, that was a thing that people, that's what I'm saying, like way back in the day, people legitimately used to sometimes double halve to win tank mirrors, and it's like kind of thing Big Boss would do as well. Like he would go second half,
Big Boss,
and he would just make like every unit he made would be a Scorpion tank because you just could like, as he has so much money, you could afford to just keep making Scorpion tanks. And it's really hard to beat. You can't win in a tank mirror when your opponent just has twice as much money as you and so many more tanks. Anyway, super interesting games today. Really good to see some new names as well. Never seen Zeissman play in a tournament before, and here he is taking it down. So really, really well played to him. We also saw Ogres doing really well today, who we don't see very often in tournaments. So yeah, really cool tournament. Really enjoyed that one. Thank you to everyone in the Legion staff, Kenny and Ensawaga today as our background staff, and of course Sarpedon for building the bot and stopping by and saying hi, and of course my co-host Jeffrey. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
Hey, no problem. It was a huge pleasure and always great to cast with you, Blade. This has been it's been a lot of fun and I've really enjoyed it. Yeah,
I mean, really is. Jeffrey, the true goat of Rivals casting here, as always.
Too kind.
So thank you so much, everyone. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and of course I believe that will be the end of this tournament. Not a lot to say here apart from I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, I'm gonna be ending the stream here. I might stream again a little bit later. I'm gonna take a break and think about it. I might be back because obviously, as you guys who have been following my stream know, I'm trying to get to 80 hours this month, and I just took a big holiday, so might be back later for some more streaming. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, thank you everyone for hanging out, and anything you want to say, Jeffrey?
No, just thanks for having me. And you know what? I really hope to see more of these no 10 cost unit tournaments, or you know, some way we can do customs or something like that, because I really want to explore this meta a little bit more. But you know, hats off to all the players. Thank you for coming by, and you know, hats off to the Legion team who ran a fantastic tournament. This has been really great, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it.